Political correctness gone too far. In a rare move, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office canceling the Washington Redskins trademark registration. They say the name is offensive to Native Americans. But, Carrie, you think this is a bad precedent for all businesses.
Well, David, I do think this is hugely disruptive to their business model and their trademark. And I think legal precedent that this could be overturned. That being said, I am no Elizabeth Warren, and so I didn't use this to get a professorship at Harvard, but I actually do have Native American ancestry. And I do think from a cultural free market pressure here, that from a PR move, they should probably move on. I think it is a passé term. I think it's a term that is similar to the term of colored for African Americans during eras past, and so I think it might be time for them to move on.
But Mike, the question is business. First of all, you cover sports. Will this affect the business of the Washington Redskins?
No, David, it won't, because the vast majority of the league's revenues are equally shared among all the teams. So this will not affect the revenues of the team, nor will it impact their ability to compete and sign players.
But, Steve, on the other hand, I don't want some government bureaucrat deciding what I can say, how I can deal with my own property, because there are property issues involved here.
There are indeed, David, and this is typical of, sadly, the Obama administration's lawlessness, where they make it up as they go along. They want a political issue. They just shun aside the law, the Constitution. They'll destroy reputations, as they're trying to do with the Koch brothers. They go after ordinary Americans, and here they're tearing up the law. They'll be overruled, but they just make it up as they go along for political purposes.
Rick,
and every business is vulnerable to that.
Rick, I know you are a strong defender of the First Amendment. Aren't you concerned that you can have Washington bureaucrats at willy-nilly deciding to change somebody's name?
It's why we have the law. And Steve, this was not against the law. I actually think it will be overturned, but I'm going to tell you why. First of all, patent law is very clear. You are not allowed to be issued a patent in that circumstance. Now, I'll tell you where I think Dan Snyder wins.
Dan Snyder is the owner of the Redskins.
Go ahead. Redskins. He wins because we also have in law something called the equitable doctrine of latches, which effectively means if you sit on your hands for too long, you don't get to come back and ask the law to do something about it. Those people who were offended by the Redskins and who brought this action, they waited too long. The Redskins name has been around for years and years and years. I think that equity requires that he be entitled to keep the trademark.
Here's the problem, Sabrina. The Tea Party, Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi think the Tea Party is racist. By their definition, if somebody has trademarked Tea Party as part of their company name, they could lose that trademark because some people think it's politically incorrect. I mean, you can expand this to all kinds of areas, right?
Right. I mean, what is the logical end? Are we, as Jenna Goldberg said at National Review, are we going to start getting rid of all of the cities in the Southwest that are sort of based on Christian names because atheists don't like them? You know, I was from Los Angeles. What's going to happen there? The bigger issue, from my perspective, is what does this mean that we see government, and in this case the Patent Office, as the answer to all of societal ills? Is this a bad name for the national football team? Perhaps. Is it politically incorrect? Perhaps. But why can't we have the normal give and take, back and forth between individuals and communities, and come to some kind of reasonable, agreement on this, rather than having government raise
hold on a second, because it could be dealt with reasonably. And Mike Ozanian, you know the history of this. In 1999, I think the Patent Office tried to do the same thing with the Redskins, and they lost, right?
That's absolutely right. And in fact, it's very interesting because the bidding for the team, the sale by the Jack Kent Cooke estate, was going on, and both before and after the ruling, the bidding price stayed the same. So I don't think it's going to have an impact on the team.
David, I think Grover Norquist, the activist, our tax friend in D.C., has the best solution. Name it the Washington Reagans.
I'm not sure that would work, but Steve, again, the question is whether or not this could be used as a precedent if they win in the courts to do something else willy-nilly in a politically correct fashion.
Well, those are the right words, willy-nilly, and they interpret the law any way they want, so no one is safe. Find any reason to go after you if they want to go after you.
All right.
Got to have the rule of law.
By the way, there's a whole slew of various names of professional teams that could be thrown into the fire in the mix as well. Coming up, turmoil in Iraq could